WHCS Channel 29 presents Peninsula District Group AAA Football. Bethel Bruins versus the Hampton Crabbers. Good afternoon, everybody, from Darling Stadium in Hampton. This is Tim Cole along with Bob Hins as we are here for the championship game of the Peninsula District between the Hampton Crabbers and the Bethel Bruins. And Bob, it looks like we've got all the earmarks for a great game.
Oh, Tim, this is going to be a fantastic game. Not only is the weatherman is helping us out, the skies are starting to clear, the sun is breaking through, but there's going to be a fantastic crowd. They're expecting to come out 8,000 people strong here today, and this is a rivalry that goes back for 19 years. And of course, what really makes it special, Tim, is the winner goes on to the playoffs. Of course, now Bethel has a chance for Division II, but I'll get into that later on. But this is just going to be a fantastic contest.
Exactly that, Bob, as we will be momentarily having the introduction of the starting lineups for both teams. But before we get to that, let's talk about the records coming into the game. The Hampton Crabbers are 7-2 overall on the season, and the Bethel Bruins are 6-3. But most importantly, in the district games, each team has 5 victories and 2 losses. And as you said, Bob, there are a multitude of different ways that this playoff situation is affected by this game. And I know it'll take a lot longer than we might even have to get into this, but of course there is the opportunity. As I understand it now, Hampton must win today in order to advance, but Bethel may advance even with a loss today.
Bethel can advance on a win or a tie, and a possibility they could still advance to the Division II playoffs if they lose, Tim. But I was reading the paper, and there are only 43,441,281 different combinations who can get into the Group 2 or Division II playoffs. So I don't even want to get into that. But I did get a chance to talk to both coaches today. And Mike Smith is very high on his defense. His defense has been tough all year, but the offense has been a little suspect, as you and I were talking earlier, that they've only scored 1 touchdown in the last 4 games. So they're going to have to do something, and he believes that getting Keith Custis back will affect their offensive scheme, that they can now go deep. They won't be able to double team their deep receivers. They'll have 3 good deep receivers. So that's what they're looking for, Tim.
Well, while we're talking about those things, Bob, why don't we go ahead and show the folks on the screen, there we go, the offensive and defensive lineups for today's game as we have them up until just a few moments ago, unless there are some minor changes. What you're talking about, the big question I have is we're looking at the offensive lineup for the Bethel Bruins. As you see, the Bethel Bruins coming onto the field and being greeted by the homestanding crowd here at Darling Stadium. The big question that I have right now, I have no question about the defensive capabilities of either Hampton or Bethel. The question I have, if I could ask one question of Mike Smith, the head coach of Hampton, is where has his offense gone and is it coming back? you cannot win very many ball games when you score a total of 10 points in 4 games. You're lucky enough, as he is, to be 2-2 in those 4 games.
That's right. He's very lucky because of the fact that his team has not been scoring any points. Let me run down offensive real quick. For center for Bethel will be Ray Ransom. The guards are James Smith and Rodney Winston. Tackles Delton Wright, Lonnie Jones, and the end, one of the ends is Todd Kelly. The rest of the offense is they have Cyrus Boyd playing. Oh, this is the defense. I'm sorry. Cyrus Boyd is the guard, along with Rodney Winston. Ray Ransom and Delton Wright are both tackles. Rodney Burley, Carl Francis are both ends on Bethel defensive team. The rest of the defense are linebackers John Lago and Sal Bucciolato. Halfbacks Mike Doolin, William Beverly, and of course Jason Wallace is their safety man. Tony Perez, number 1, will be their kicker. And we see the teams going out to the center, Tim, if you want to pick up the captains.
Let me do that real quickly, Bob. The captains for the visiting Hampton Crabbers, 89, of course, is Will Jeter, and number 7 is Derock Kroom. And for the Bethel Bruins, they are represented at the center of the field by 25, William Beverly, and number 77, Delton Wright, as we will have the toss of the coin. And also, while we got a moment, Bob, while we're watching the toss, can we run down the officials' names for today's game?
Sure could. I got them from Calvin. The referee tonight, or this afternoon, is Jack Windley. The umpire is Neil Thompson. The linesman is Cliff Kaufman. The judge is Mike Tucci, and the back judge is Dave Respect. And now all these men combined have 75 years of refereeing experience. So
we've got a good shot of the zebras. And those guys
got some experience out there anyway, Tim.
Those guys have the toughest job at the ballpark today calling this football game, because the Hampton Crabbers have won the toss and have elected to receive, and they'll defend, or rather at least have their backs to the goal to our left. So the Bethel Bruins in the homestanding dark green with gold uniforms with white numerals, as we continue with the offensive lineup for the Crabbers.
This is Hampton. Cedric Powell and Mayberry are the guards, or center, with Williams the guard, Steve Mason, Hank Terrell the tackles, Andrew Bergen is one of the ends. Of course, one of the other ends is Will Jeter. The quarterback is Derock Kroom. Dickerson is the fullback, Johnson tailback, Alexander is the flanker, and Houston is the kicker. And you're seeing that the Crabbers are going to receive. The Bruins will be kicking off, which will be number 1, Mike Perez will be doing the kicking off for the Bruins.
John Perez will be doing the kicking off. He's got a real good stiff breeze behind him in the neighborhood of 15, 20 miles an hour. The game time temperature is right around 70 degrees. I would imagine that the players would like it to be cooler. Of course, this time of the year, they're far enough into their conditioning that I don't really think the heat, and it's not that hot, but it certainly is warmer than they might normally have it.
Oh, yeah, it really is.
It's not going to really affect them, I don't think.
Excuse me, Tim, I didn't mean to override you, but the cloud cover, as clouds are coming off and on, it'll keep the temperature down. If the sun was shining heavy, then you could expect it to be another 10 degrees to 15 degrees warmer on the field.
And of course, that constant in and out sunshine will affect our pictures, so our director down in the van is going crazy with it, but hopefully we'll have consistent lighting nonetheless. John Perez has it teed up. We're set to go. Mike Alexander back deep for the Crabbers, and he's going to field the ball at the goal line, and he'll bring it out.
In high school football, if you catch the ball in the end zone, you can't run it out. Hampton will take it on the 20-yard line, which, I don't know whether that's good or bad, but we will be able to see right off whether Hampton has done something to help their offensive scheme of things, because they do need to get some points on the board.
And speaking of points, the Hampton Crabbers have averaged 26 points a game. When you consider the fact that they're still averaging 26 points a game, it speaks very highly for their offense in the early part of the season. In their first 6 games, they averaged over 45 points a game. So a big question this afternoon is, can the Hampton offense return to its original potency? We're set to go. Kroom over center, hands off, left side carry for little or no gain for the Hampton Crabbers.
That was number 51 making the tackle. He shot through from a linebacker spot. And I believe that's Lego, isn't it?
I believe you're right, and that was Calvin Knight running the ball for the Crabbers. Crabbers, as I mentioned, 26 points a game on offense, only allowing 4 points a game on defense. Their defensive team has not been a question mark at all this season. They have been phenomenal, to say the least.
Well, both of these squads have good defenses, Tim. It's who's going to get the break earlier, who can make some adjustments.
Pitchback comes to Knight, trying to turn the right corner. He's going to be taken down after a very short game. the stop, number 10, Jason Wallace, who, interestingly enough, will be the other, and I say the other, starting quarterback today.
Oh, I tell you, when Bethel gets the ball, I'll be able to give you a little bit of what Coach Kozlowski told me today, because he's running, he's rotating his quarterbacks, but also rotating backfields. He has 2 complete backfields, so we'll be able to see that when the Bruins get on offense. But Hampton had picked up 3 yards and 2 carries, so they really got to put the ball up in the air this time to make a first down.
3rd down and 7 from their 23. Broom wants to pass, throws the ball well short of Mike Alexander, who had gone on a pattern on the far side of the field, and the ball was never even close to being catchable. So the Hampton Crabbers will have to kick the ball now with a 4th down and 7 from their 23.
One of the most exciting kick returners I have ever witnessed in high school football is the young man, number 22, going deep for the Bruins. And, of course, the kicker's kicking into the wind, Tim.
And that is Mike Husted, averaging about 34 yards a kick. He gets a low snap. He feels it well, though. Gets the kick away and taken down momentarily, but getting away from the would-be tackle. Well, now they say he, in fact, did touch the ground with his knee at the Bethel 45-yard line. So much to the dismay of the Bethel crowd on this side.
Well, we're on the same side as Bethel, so we're going to get some reaction. But look at the field position they've got. They've got just fantastic field position. And he's starting off with Kent Johnson at quarterback. So this is a quarterback that will run from either split back formation or an I-back formation. So he's more of a passing quarterback, where Wallace is more of a running quarterback.
Kent Johnson is, in fact, the Bethel starting quarterback. Johnson over center, the ball marked at the Bethel 46-yard line. Fake to the first man, gives off second man through, and that is in the form of Rod Harrison. Rod Harrison for the Bethel Bruins, and he came up with a big game last week as he had 138 yards on 23 carries against the Denby Bruins. Check that, the Denby Patriots.
And that was
his really needed that.
Excuse me, Tim. That was his first start of the year, was last week. And he's stepping in there for a young man by the name of James Jones that had to undergo knee surgery, and he's really picked up the slack real well, and Coach Kaz is real high on this young man's potential.
Harrison gets almost 5 on his first carry of the ball game, 2nd down and 5. And again, this is Harrison cutting across the right side, close to a first down. He'll be about 1.5 yards shy of the first down. Over there on the stop for the Hampton Crabbers, number 33, Hurley Miles. Hurley Miles, of course, one of the stalwart defenders for the Hampton Crabbers. He's got 5.5 sacks credited to him for this season. And the Hampton Crabbers, as I said before, their defensive team, never a suspect. The offense right now is what we have to be concerned about if you're a Hampton Crabber fan.
Well, this is a big play for the Bruins to get their first down, and they can move into field goal territory range because of the wind behind their back. So they need this first down.
And it's going to be real close, as knifing over the left side is, in fact, Harrison. So every time the Bruins have moved the ball here on their first possession, and the crowd again now really upset about the placement of that ball, as they have marked it just across the 45 of Hampton, which will make it apparently about 1 inch shy. They're going to bring the chains in.
I was going to ask you if your eagle eye was working, but I was going to say it looks like it's about 1 inch shy if you can go by the lines on the field.
And that's not always something you can go by. The crowd here now upset twice on the marking of the football. And it's going to come up 1 inch shy of the first down.
I tell you what, Tim, and you did that without your binoculars. I'm proud.
And the Bethel crowd upset because they don't feel like their team got a good mark on the ball. And to be honest with you, I thought he got a little further upfield myself.
Well, that was the old left foot, right foot routine that John Madden talks about. He marked it with his right foot rather than his left foot, and of course he lost a couple inches in doing that. But the Bruins are going for it.
In Hampton territory, 4th and about 1 inch. A long count. We've got movement on the line now. If apparently contact was made, or did a Bethel Bruin move? We'll have to wait and see. The defensive team, of course, not to be elementary about this, but they are allowed to move as long as they don't make contact.
Well, they can't cross the line. They can't get into the neutral zone. In high school football, if you break into that neutral zone on defense, you don't have to touch anybody. That's encroachment. That's a 5-yard penalty, as the referee is pointing out. So the Bruins got the first down on a mistake by the Crabbers.
Okay, a long count, and we've got a change in quarterbacks again. Jason Wallace is in the backfield now.
And you'll see the wishbone. Excuse me, Tim.
That's all right. Wishbone carry, this time Michael Dula, number 30, is the ball carrier. And what we were going to get into, Bob, was the fact that when the Bruins use a different quarterback, they will also use an entirely different backfield.
They use an entirely different backfield. This is what Coach Kozlowski was telling me, and he says that he did that in the last game when they played against the Patriots and were so successful. And he says, I'm sure Mike Smith scouted that game and has made some adjustments, and he says, I hope he has, because I'm going to bank on his good coaching to do some things that I can predict.
Gain of a little more than 2. Let's call it 2nd down and 8. This is William Beverly off the right side, and he comes up shy of the 35. It appears the ball will be marked right about the 36-yard line of Hampton. We have no score. 7:43 remains in the first quarter, and Hampton and Bethel are battling out for the Peninsula District Championship and the right to go on to the state playoffs.
And now you got a new backfield in there again. Kent Johnson and his backs came in. So this is really the passing quarterback, if you will, for the Bruins, is Kent Johnson. Although now Jason Wallace can pass the ball, but he's not as accurate as Kent Johnson has been.
3rd down and 6. Johnson, in fact, back to pass. Has plenty of time. Throws it away as his intended receiver was Todd Kelly, number 88, the big half of the Twin Towers. He and Darrell Weaver, number 89, go both at 6'5". An article in the paper earlier in the week was making reference to their pass catching abilities. Between the two of them, they've caught 34 passes during the regular season. So Kent Johnson, whomever is passing the ball, will have very large targets. Now, Todd Kelly also doubles as the punter, and he'll be standing right at midfield to, if in fact the Bethel Bruins kick this ball. And of course, being in Hampton territory, you always have to look for a fake. Kelly will, in fact, get it away. The left-footed kicker angled for the corner. It's going to, however, go into the end zone, and the Hampton Crabbers will start 1st and 10 from their 20-yard line.
Tim, that was a good kick, and he did try to catch the end zone with it. It took a right bounce. It bounced into the end zone. But on that pass that Kent Johnson threw with that 15, 20-mile-an-hour wind behind you, it's going to cause that ball to kind of float a little bit on him and sail, and that might have been what happened. Of course, nervousness and everything else, because this is a very important game for both teams. Now, the way it stands right now, Hampton must win to go on to the playoffs in Division I AAA. Bethel can tie and go to the Division II playoffs. So that's really something. I don't want to get into that right now.
Later. 1st and 10 for the Crabbers. Kroom has the ball and time. Throwing left side. Michael Alexander almost gets to the football. A valiant effort on the part of Alexander as he simply stretched out as far as his body would take him, but he just couldn't quite reach the ball. Michael Dula going on 2 ways today for the Bethel Bruins, back on defense. But nonetheless, the pass well thrown, except for the fact it was just a little bit long. Alexander did everything possible to try and catch it.
Well, he really did, but that was a fine pass, because taking consideration, Tim, he is throwing into the wind. So, you know, that was a good pass to be that close to completion. And you're right, Alexander had the Michael Dula beat.
2nd down and 10 from the Hampton 20. Kroom pitches back this time. Calvin Knight dragged down from behind after a pickup of maybe a yard. Over there for the Bethel Bruins, 51, John Lego, one of the tacklers. And also on the play for Bethel, Alan Leach. Check that, Rod Burley, number 80 for the Bruins. So the Bethel defense so far has not given up anything to the Crabbers.
They really haven't. The only thing that was even a possibility with that long pass, and of course that's what Mike Smith hopes to be able to do with Keith Custis now. He's got another one that can go deep, but he only runs from 2 tight ends and a 1 wide receiver.
3rd and 9, got a man wide open. That's Jeter. Jeter makes the catch and the 1st down at the Hampton 40-yard line. So the Hampton Crabbers get their initial 1st down. William Beverly and Jason Wallace, 2 stalwart offensive players for the Bruins, are in on the stop as they, again, one of the many two-way players for the Bruins.
Well, I tell you, and that was a two-way player for the Crabbers, because as Wallace plays safety, so does Jeter for Hampton's defense. He plays safety and then plays offensive end. But that was a well-thrown ball. Everybody was looking for Alexander going deep, and Will Jeter just went out into the flat when it was wide open.
inside this time for the Hampton Crabbers. Carrying the football is, well, let's check the numbers now.
Number 44 carried the ball that time for the Crabbers.
All right, that's Stefanko. I was trying to pick up his number. And Stefanko picks up about, well, let's make it 4 yards. So the Crabbers now starting to move the ball a little bit. That Bethel defense is tough, and they're not going to give up much.
Well,
the Crabbers starting to move.
Excuse me, Tim. Nothing more will open up a defense or loosen it up a little bit than if you complete a pass.
Broom again wants to pass over the middle to the left side to Michael Alexander. He steps out of bounds, but not before he gets the first down in Bethel territory. So the Crabbers find some success in the air, and they'll mark the ball at the Bethel 47 with the second consecutive first down for the Crabbers.
That was a well-thrown ball because he had to throw that almost completely across the field, and there was a defensive man in between him and the ball carrier, but he threw it high enough and made the completion, and then he stepped out of bounds. Just an excellent time and pass.
First and 10 from the Bethel 47. And this is Calvin Knight, and he has stopped after a very short gain. If in fact he barely got back to the line of scrimmage, so we're going to call it no gain. That'll be second down and 10. You know, talking about Mike Alexander, he's not real big. He's only 5'10" and 165 pounds. But he's third in receptions in the Peninsula District this year with 17 catches for over 300 yards, and he averages about 44 yards per game in receptions.
Well, that young man, number 51 for the Bruins, John Lago, is in the backfield all the time, giving a lot of pressure to the Hampton backs.
Broom still has the ball, wants to pass again. He's got Jeter a little bit high as Jeter was down around the 31, 32-yard line, and he just couldn't get it. In fact, he had to turn around. The ball was coming over on the wrong side. Carl Francis, number 39 for the Bruins, was defending on the play, and of course William Beverly also over there on the play as well.
That was a catchable pass. He had to turn and look the other way, but he's got a good set of hands, and he did get his hands on the ball. He should have caught that ball. But that brings up a third and long. He got third and 10. So you know it's a passing situation, and Mike Smith has got two wide receivers, two wide outs on the left side of the field.
Broom has a man open. That's Alexander. If he caught it, it's a first down. It is. Another fine play as Alexander simply dragged his feet across the sideline and got the first down at the Bethel 35. A super catch.
Oh, not only a great catch, but he did a good job of dragging his feet to make sure that he caught the ball in bounds. I'm very, very impressed with this passing attack of the Hampton Crabbers, and the wind seems to have died down a little bit by looking at the flag. Doesn't seem the wind to be blowing as hard as it was at the kickoff.
The wind, of course, a factor in the game, as it may become a factor. Mike Husted made the only points last week for the Crabbers in a 3-0 victory over Warwick. And John Perez of the Bethel Bruins, his counterpart, had a good game against the Denby Patriots as it picks up in the backfield. Kroom is going to be thrown for a loss as it was in fact a busted play. Kroom has a couple of words to say to the Bethel defender, John Lago, but that was a fine play, and there was certainly nothing wrong with the way the defensive play worked. It just simply Kroom turned around and was going there to hand off to him.
It looked like he was checking the play off the line of scrimmage, and he was going to run sort of an option play, but when he turned around, John Lago was right in his face.
So a loss on the play of about 4 yards, and our worst nightmare has occurred, Bob. The band on this side of the field has decided to play the drums incessantly.
If I talk over the top of you, Tim, it's because I don't think you're talking, okay?
And we're going to have a timeout on the field as Kroom came up to the line and didn't like what he saw. So we're going to take a brief timeout for this message from Wyatt Brothers. We'll be right back with more of the game after this.
Whether you're a Hampton Crabber or a Bethel Bruin, for great gift ideas, visit Wyatt Brothers Men's Fashions in Old Hampton. Wyatt Brothers, with the stylish Jack Nicklaus blazers complemented by Hathaway shirts, Reese of New Haven ties, and Florsheim shoes. Wyatt Brothers has a wide selection of handsome Hart, Schaffner, and Mark suits, stylish sport coats, and the traditional camel hair and cashmere blazers. You'll also find a wide selection of Izod and Lord Jeff sweaters in all the colors of the rainbow. and the popular Pendleton sport shirts, as well as stylish and comfortable outerwear by London Fog and Hart Schaffner and Marks. Gift certificates are also available for that special person on your list. For great gift ideas, visit Wyatt Brothers Men's Fashions. They're located in Old Hampton at South King Street and Settlers Landing Road. Wyatt Brothers is pleased to be a sponsor of the Hampton-Bethel game.
Time back in, 3:39 to go in the first quarter. No score. Tim Cole with Bob Hinge from Darling Stadium in the championship game of the Peninsula District. Inside, handoff, first down, or check that. A third down coming up for the Crabbers. Carrying the ball for the Crabbers, Marvin Dickerson, the fullback.
That was a good run. He popped through the line of scrimmage, but I know what the Crabbers were looking for. I mean, check me. The Bruins were looking for a pass on that play, but now they got third down and about 8 yards to go, but they're still in a passing situation, Tim.
Third down and 8. The Crabbers last week snapped a 2-game losing streak, something that Crabbers have probably not done in a long, long time. I don't have the stats on how long it's been since they lost 2 in a row, but it has to be quite some time. Completed pass at the 15-yard line. First down for the Crabbers.
I tell you what, I am very, very impressed with Uriah Kroom's passing. He is finding the open man, and he is getting the ball to him. And if there's a defensive man in between, he's getting the ball over the head of the defense, just doing a fantastic job passing the ball. And it's not because they're wide open. There are defensive people around it, but it is right on the money.
Keith Custis returning to the lineup for the Crabbers makes the catch, and he did not step out of bounds, but in fact the first down is set up just shy of the 13 of Bethel. So with our first genuine threat of the football game, the Crabbers 1st and 10 at the 13. 2:35 remaining in the first quarter. No score. We have 4 12-minute quarters in high school football. Just a reminder, this is Kroom dragged down from behind, and Kroom never really had a chance to get going. Quickly in there, almost with the snap, was Sal Buccellato, number 55. And Sal had a big game last week against Denby. Had a fumble recovery and an interception.
Well, he's been the 2 linebackers this year for the Bruins. Buccellato and Lego have been the leaders in the tackling for the Bruins, and they're not holding back anything today. Bruins are going after this thing, and that's the way I want to see it. Both these teams are playing real hard, and it's a toss-up. Hampton needs to get a touchdown to break this daggone string of not scoring a touchdown in 3 games.
2nd and 12, Calvin Knight, number 12, skittering across the 10-yard line, close to about the 9. Again, a first down is achievable by the Crabbers without, in fact, scoring. They need to get down to the 4-yard line of the Bethel Bruins for the first down. So a third down, a number of very crucial third downs in this first quarter, and Hampton so far has been able to capitalize on the third down when needed.
Well, the first drive, when they didn't get anything, they had to punt. But since then, every third down situation they've gone, and this will be the 4th one, if I'm not mistaken, Tim, on this drive. I believe it's the 4th third down situation. And it is passing situation.
Keith Custis comes to the near side. Calvin Knight in the backfield, along with Dickerson. This is Knight. Knight trying to turn the right side. He fumbles the football, and we'll have to wait and see. I believe they're going to rule that the ball was dead, and that's going to be the ruling. In fact, again, we're going to likely hear from the Bethel side of the field. A quick whistle, but I believe a good call nonetheless.
Oh, it was a good call. He was tackled and he was down, and the ground can't cause a fumble, but we're going to go for the field goal. I was very surprised that Mike Smith didn't put the ball up, because he has not had that good success in rushing the ball, especially with a 3rd and 7.
So on the field to try the field goal from the 20, which will make it a 30-yarder, is Mike Husted. It looks to be long enough, and it is good. So a 30-yard field goal by Mike Husted. His 20-yarder last week against Warwick wasn't the only point scored in that ball game. So Husted comes up with a big field goal.
And that was an important series for the Crabbers, because not only did they carry it down from the 20, that was an 80-yard scoring drive, but they did it on third down crucial situations. Plus, they were going against the wind, and just Uriah Kroom had a fantastic job of passing the ball during that drive, Tim.
The Hampton Crabber offense, in spite of the fact that they did not get the touchdown, certainly showed some form of life here. They've come back to put some yardage in the books and came real close. And of course, the defense for Bethel has been superb all year. They've only given up two touchdowns in their last 4 games. So Bethel is the team that has not scored upon easily. And the Hampton Crabbers will come away with at least 3 points with just 22 seconds remaining here in this all-important first quarter of the championship game. Huston has it teed up. He'll be kicking off. Back deep for the Bethel Bruins is Anthony Boogie Wooden, standing at his 7-yard line, number 22. They'll try and keep the ball away from them if at all possible. And he does, in fact, kick away from Wooden. It's fielded at the 16-yard line. Up to about the 30-yard line goes number 30, Derek Smith, a linebacker fullback for the Bethel Bruins. So the Bruins now trailing by the score of 3-0 with 17 seconds to go in the first quarter. Will set up from their 31-yard line.
Well, this has not been a disappointment to this crowd, Tim. This stadium is packed, and there are people walking around, and they're selling 8,000 tickets. And I believe they sold 8,000 tickets, and I know they could have sold more. And of course, there wouldn't be any place for the people to sit.
If they don't, no, I was going to say, if they don't hurry, they won't get this play away. And in fact, they will not, as the first quarter has come to an end. And we'll be back to Darling Stadium with more AAA high school football after this brief timeout and a message from Wyatt Brothers.
What do you need?
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include stylish Jack Nicklaus blazers complemented by Hathaway shirts, Reese of New Haven ties, and Florsheim shoes. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
Tim Cole with Bob Hins back at Darling Stadium. The crowd still moving around, still unsettled as we are watching a real fine football game. This game always is a fine football game. It kind of, for us former Crabbers and former Typhoon of Newport News and former Bruins, this is kind of like the Turkey Day game for me. I used to look forward every year to the Thanksgiving Day game, and this game, of course, has taken its place as far as its rivalry, and of course, almost identically to the old years of Newport News and Hampton of its importance.
Yes, it is, because it seemed like back in them days that it was either the Typhoons or the Crabbers going to the playoffs. Now it's either the Bruins or the Crabbers.
The Bruins starting from their 30. This is Kent Johnson. There's a flag in the backfield. Johnson has the first down and is going to be knocked out of bounds after picking up almost 15. But again, a flag in the backfield, and the initial indication from the referee is a holding penalty against the Bruins. So the 15-yard will be marked off, or rather wiped out, and a penalty marked off against the Bruins.
Well, you know that you have to hand the defensive backs of Crabbers a accolade there. They're the ones who did a good job of covering the receivers. Kent Johnson had nobody open, and he needed more time. And of course, when that happens, the linemen get into a situation where they will be caught for holding, because you can only hold a guy out for so long anyway. But that really hurts him, because he picked up about 14 yards on that scamper, but now they got the 15-yard penalty, so that's really cost about 29 yards on that play.
A lot of times when you read the statistics and you see a team struggle to get on the board, as Hampton has for the last 4 games, so many of those times the Crabbers have moved the ball well, but only to be stopped by their own mistakes, by penalties and fumbles and interceptions. And a lot of times, as you said, a 15-yard penalty actually in this case was a 29-yard penalty, because you have to, of course, take away the yardage that was gained. So it's first down and 25. Kent Johnson has time, almost intercepted, as over there for the Hampton Crabbers, with his hands on the football ever so precariously, was Andre Davis Jr., number 32. Had a chance of the ball, but just couldn't quite climb the ladder for it.
The receiver that was intended for the pass was number 88, Todd Kelly, the big 6'5" young man that also does the punt for the Bruins. I was over at Bethel High School Thursday, and Coach Kaz got some T-shirts out that he gave his kids, what I thought was rather interesting. It showed a great big Bruin eating a crab on him, so he's trying to get him fired up psychologically anyway.
I don't think you have to, but I'm sure everything adds. 2nd and 25. Pitch back goes to number 10 for the Bruins, Jason Wallace, who, again, to make things even more confusing, will also come in when Ken Johnson is quarterbacking to play the part of a halfback with, of course, that quarterback-halfback throwing option.
That's exactly, you just read my mind, because that's exactly, look, what he did not get the ball like he was going to run, but he was thinking of passing. And of course, Hampton Crabbers defense have been outstanding all year long, and they're showing us why, because Bruins now have a third, and it looks like about, I don't know, that's 25 at least.
Every bit of that, third and at least 25 for the Bruins. Ken Johnson in the backfield. In the backfield along with Rod Harrison, and that's Harrison getting the handoff. Crabbers will give him that play up to about the 17, and that's going to present the Bruins with an obvious kicking situation. So Todd Kelly will be coming in for the Bethel Bruins. And you know, talking about Todd Kelly, not only does he punt the ball and catch the ball well, he had 2 touchdowns last week against Denby. He and Rod Harrison each had 2 for the Bethel Bruins. So the offense has not been lacking for the Bethel Bruins.
Well, it sure has, but we're going to find out what kind of a kicker Todd is, because what breeze there is, and it's blowing, he's kicking into it, but looks like it's slowed down a little bit right now. I don't see the flag moving.
He's on his 2. He gets good stuff. We've got a flag down, and again, it's a pretty good kick, fielded at the 47-yard line, and with plenty of room to run all the way down inside the 30. That is 44, Michael Stefanko for the Hampton Crabbers. Now we'll have to wait and see who this penalty flag will be called against. That could be a very important penalty also.
He's called an illegal procedure, and if it's against the Bruins, of course, they're going to decline it, because that is fantastic field position for the Crabbers at the 25. And that's it. They declined it. It was against the Bruins, Tim.
Sherwood Jones for the Hampton Crabbers was asked by the referee, and of course he immediately declined the penalty, and the Crabbers will set up at the Bethel 25-yard line. So you really can't ask for a lot better field position than that.
That was a fine run back, and it wasn't a bad kick into the wind, but he had plenty of time to bring that ball back, and good blocking, and carried it around the right side over towards the Hampton sideline, and got about a 25-yard return on that punt.
Stefanko doing a fine job returning for the Crabbers. This is he again with the football. He won't get nearly the success on the carry as he did on the punt return. He barely gets back to the line of scrimmage, and it'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Crabbers.
As the viewers could see that time, not only did did Bethel have a 6-man line, but they brought both linebackers. So in essence, the Crabbers were blocking against 8 men, and you don't have but 7 men on that line of scrimmage, and that's why they're getting into the backfield. They are assuming that Mike Smith is not going to pass on 1st down, Tim, and that's why he's bringing his linebackers up so close, and why he's shooting them, and they're getting in the backfield of the Hampton Crabbers.
2 wide receivers to the near side, Keith Custis and Michael Alexander. Kroom fakes, has time, over the middle. Will Jeter's got it inside the 15, down to the 13.
And that was a fine pass. That was just a quick look in. Again, the linebacker, the Kozlowski's defense that time lined up in a 5-man with a monster, and Will Jeter just went down right behind the linebackers and found an opening, and Kroom just put that ball right on the money.
Will Jeter, 6'3", 201. First in pass receptions in the league. He's certainly not hurting his statistics so far this afternoon, as he's caught 23 coming into the game for over 450 yards. Pitchback goes to Calvin Knight, looking for some room, and he's going to be driven out of bounds. Over there, John Lego, along with big number 80 for the Bethel Bruins, and that's Rod Burley, 6'5", 191. And Calvin Knight has just not had any success at all this afternoon as far as his ball carrying is concerned.
Well, none of the Crabbers have, Tim. If you remember, I think we've only had one run that was about 5 or 6 yards. Most of them either been negative or 2 or 3 yards carries. Most of the success that came from the Crabbers today has been through the air.
And we do have Hampton High School is calling a timeout, and we'll return to Darling Stadium with more of today's game between the Hampton Crabbers and the Bethel Bruins. But first, this message from Wyatt Brothers.
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include a wide selection of Izod and Lord Jeff sweaters in all the colors of the rainbow and the popular Pendleton sports shirts. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
Back at Darling Stadium. Tim Cole with Bob Hintz as we are 8 minutes and 30 seconds away from halftime. The Hampton Crabbers leading on a 30-yard field goal by Mike Husted, scored with 22 seconds remaining in the first quarter. That's the extent of our scoring. And just to carry a little further about Mr. Will Jeter and his statistics so far for the Crabbers, besides being the #1 pass catcher in the district for over 450 yards, he averages 50 yards a game in catches, and he's also 7th in the district in scoring with 34 points. He's got 7 touchdowns. Now check that, he's got 5 touchdowns, and he's got a couple of 2-pointers. So Will Jeter is a big part of the offense with the Hampton Crabbers.
And he's done a good job for the Crabbers. If you remember last year when we followed him in the playoffs, he was very instrumental in them getting to the state final, beating Kempsville, and of course has been an asset all year this year.
2nd down and 10. The ball marked at the Bethel 13-yard line. The Crabbers threatening for the 2nd time today. A long time now between the time that ball was placed for play. And the Crabbers are not, in fact, going to have a penalty. A carry up the middle across the 10, inside the 10-yard line. Carrying the ball for the Crabbers was 31 Marvin Dickerson, big 208-pounder. And the Crabbers will have a 3rd down and about 5. So it'll be interesting to see now whether the Crabbers can keep this drive alive.
Well, I'm not sure, but it kind of looks like right now is what's happening is when Mike gets down here close to scoring, he's keeping the ball on the ground and not putting it up in the air. He doesn't want a turnover here, and I can understand that because at least you can walk away with 3 points. And that's what he wants to walk away with the score, I know. He'd rather have a touchdown if he could get it. But he's going to have to put the ball up because they have not been successful on the ground unless they do some extra blocking. And now we got a flag, looks like delay a game. So now you got 10 yards to go.
Well, that's the 2nd time in as many plays that the Crabbers have taken an inordinate amount of time to call the play. And of course, Mike Smith is shuffling players in from the sidelines with the plays. So that time, I don't know exactly why it took so long, but in fact, the Crabbers in a very crucial situation make a major mental error by having a delay of game penalty against them.
Well, and it really hurts them because now you got 10 yards to go. It backs you up a little bit if it's a field goal attempt. But see, Mike Smith does call his plays, Tim, and he sends the guys in. So he's got to tell somebody, the guy's got to walk in, he's got to tell the quarterback's got to call the play in the huddle. They got to get up the line of scrimmage, and they don't have it so much time.
3rd and 10, little swing pass for Calvin Knight. He will not get the 1st down as 4 or 5 Bethel Bruins, including John Lego, William Beverly, Jason Wallace, and others are over there to make sure Knight does not, in fact, get even really close to the 1st down. Actually, what he did was he got back almost to the line of scrimmage before the delay of game call. So we'll see again, apparently, we will watch the kicking team in the form of Mike Husted, placing the ball at the 16-yard line, which would make it a 26-yard field goal attempt.
And you know, that's a real shame because the yardage he picked up would have given him a 1st down and almost a touchdown.
Husted's kick is no good.
Off to the right.
So Husted comes up with a kick wide to the right, and the Bethel Bruin defense and the Hampton Crabbers jointly cause no points to be gained by the Crabbers. And I say that because of a mental error. I really do think that they really hurt themselves by that delay of game.
That penalty really hurt him because that play would have picked up enough yardage for the 1st down for sure had it not been going for 10 yards instead of for 5, because he did pick up about 9 yards on that play. And picked up about 5 yards on that play, which would have given him the 1st down. And that took him from a bad scoring position, plus they were over on the side, and he had a severe angle also.
Okay, the Bethel Bruins bring it out. Kent Johnson, the quarterback. Dropping back has time. Throwing for number 89 on the near sidelines here, and Michael Alexander was actually the man who had the best shot at catching that football. The intended receiver was Darrell Weaver, number 89, and he never really looked back to see the ball. Michael Alexander had a much better shot. There you see a good shot of Mike Alexander, number 1.
Well, he did, and he was just back there playing the defensive back. Kent Johnson threw the ball up to let Weaver run underneath it, and he just overthrew it with the wind. It's hard to judge how hard to throw the ball. Pros have trouble with this, so we're talking high school. ball players coping with a gusting wind, and it's tough.
2nd and 10 from the 20. 6:44 remaining in the half. Clock moving, and we've got contact before the ball, and we'll see a penalty flag against the Hampton Crabbers. The intended receiver, Todd Kelly, was bumped before the ball got there, and a good call against the Crabbers.
Yeah, that looked like a good call. He was going for the ball, but you can't hit the man before the ball goes there. You both have a right for the ball, but you can't go through the man to get to the ball either. And that's what it did. And, of course, that's a 15-yarder. That'll be a first down for the Bruins. That'll get them up there about the 35-yard line, so at least that'll give them a little breathing room. But with the quarterback they got in there right now, Ken Johnson, that's your throwing quarterback, and Kyle's going to put the ball up.
The Hampton Crabbers undoubtedly were scouting the Bruins last week in their Denby victory. The Bruins were prolific on their offense, 375 yards last week, 210 yards on the ground, and another 165 passing. So the Bruins now look to get on track from their 35. Kent Johnson steps up and is going to be snowed under, as momentarily he had some breathing room, but Hurley Miles was in there along with number 60, Weymouth Williams. So the Crabber defense sacks Kent Johnson for a loss of about 7 yards. So it's 2nd down and 17, clock moving with 6:15 to go in the first half. And the Hampton Crabbers with the only points, a 30-yard field goal from Mike Husted. They lead 3-0.
Well, what's happening right now is the Crabbers feel like the Bruins are going to put the ball up, so they're just doing an all-out rush. And, of course, that time it paid off. That would hurt them if they come up with a screenplay or a draw.
Kent Johnson again, plenty of time, throws the ball not even really close to Darrell Weaver. Johnson having some difficulty here in the first half pinpointing his passes. Unlike Kroom, who has been absolutely amazingly accurate for the Crabbers, Kent Johnson still hasn't really gotten on track.
Well, and of course, I'm not taking anything away from Kent Johnson because the wind's blowing. DeRock Kroom carried their Crabbers down on 80 yards, throwing the ball into the wind. It's just difficult anyway, but he is throwing a timing pattern, it looks like, and him and Weaver just aren't connecting at all. Weaver's breaking. On that time, it looked like he broke about 5 yards too late to be open.
3rd and 17. Johnson again, 3rd straight time he's back to pass. This one is intended for Jason Wallace, and just as the ball got there, a perfect time defensive play, the Hampton Crabbers' Will Jeter really popped Jason Wallace. So a couple of pleasantries exchanged between the two players, certainly nothing of any harm, but a good defensive play by Jeter.
Well, that was one safety tackling another safety, and one pass receiver tackling another pass receiver, because they were both play interchangeable. They both go both ways, and now you got Todd Kelly punting into the wind again.
Back at the 40-yard line of Hampton, Mike Stefanko. Kelly gets an end-over-end kick taken by Stefanko at the 44. Bobbing and weaving, trying to find some running room. Stefanko runs 30 yards and gets one.
That was
a late flag.
Excuse me, Tim. That was an exceptional coverage on the Bruins. There were 9 people around when that tackle was made that were all Bruin jerseys. There were 2 jerseys that were not right around the tackle that time. I did not see the flag thrown, so I don't know what that was about.
And apparently is going to be marked off against Bethel. Might have been a face mask, might have been a late hit, I'm not sure, but nonetheless, a big penalty for the Hampton Crabbers, as they'll be personal foul call against the Bruins, so maybe a late hit. And with 5:33 to go here in the first half, the Hampton Crabbers again with excellent field position at the 42 of Bethel.
Well, this sure has changed. When the first opening, the first 2 times the Crabbers got the ball, they started from the 20-yard line deep in their own end. Since then, they've had excellent field position. Of course, they're going with the wind now, too, and that makes a big difference.
1st and 10 at the Bethel 42. Kroom has plenty of time. Passing down the sidelines. Contact made. We have no flag. We had incidental contact, and I think that's the way the official probably saw it. Kenneth Owens was out on the pattern for the Crabbers. He was blanketed on the play by 2 Bethel Bruins in the form of Michael Dula, and again Jason Wallace. Jason Wallace must run about 4 or 5 miles during every game. He is all over the field.
He really does. And we noticed just at the last offensive play from scrimmage, he was the one going for the pass, getting tackled, and now he's the safety. He's running after the pass receivers. That young man is tired at the end of a ball game, Tim.
Obviously a superb athlete. 2nd and 10. Kroom wants to pass for Jeter. No catch, as the ball was actually thrown between Jeter, who is slow to get up. In fact, he has yet to get up on that far sideline. And we're going to have an official's timeout, as he will be attended to by a couple of the coaches from the Hampton Crabbers. And that'll give me the opportunity, with 5:09 remaining here in the first half. Our score, Hampton 3, Bethel nothing. We'll return with more of today's game after this brief timeout and a message from Wyatt Brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the broadcast again of today's game can be seen on channel 29 WACS.
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include stylish and comfortable outerwear by Pierre Cardin, London Frog at Hart, Schaffner & Marks. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
5 minutes and 9 seconds remain here in the first half. The Hampton Crabbers leading 3-0. They've got the football at the Bethel 42. I'm happy to say that the injured player, Will Jeter, is able to get up off the field by himself. Of course, as you mentioned before, Bob, he will have to sit out at least one play. That's the rule under the high school timeout rules for injuries.
Once you're injured and they call a timeout because of injury, you have to go off for at least one play.
On the far sidelines, enough for the first down at the 30-yard line. Michael Alexander, as Duroc Kroom continues to have pinpoint accuracy on his passes this afternoon.
I don't know if they have been working on that all week, but I tell you, that's the best I have seen Duroc Kroom throw that ball. And this is the 3rd or 4th time I've seen Hampton play this year, and he looks as sharp as I have ever seen him look. And of course, his receivers are doing a good job of breaking and getting open and catching the ball.
First down at the Bethel 30. Kroom hands off inside the 30 to about the 27. And it's
hand off to number 31,
Marvin Dickerson carrying the ball for the Crabbers. Bucciolato in on the stop. Pickup of about 3 yards, a little more than 3. Call it 2nd down and a long 6.
You got to run it occasionally just to keep the defense honest. If you pass and pass and pass, and they can just tee off and on the rush. But Mike is calling the plays, and he knows that he's got to keep that Bethel defense honest, not thinking pass all the time, but also thinking run.
2nd down and almost 7. Swing pass for Calvin Knight. He's got the ball. He's down inside the 25, almost to the 20 as he struggles forward. Little Calvin Knight doing a real fine job getting some extra yardage for the Crabbers. And I say little, he's only 5'8", 166 pounds.
Well, I tell you, he was hit about 4 or 5 different times and spun around, and very close to getting the first down, because when he was first hit, he was short of the first down.
And they're going to measure it's just that close. And talking about Duroc Kroom's success this afternoon, the 6 foot, 180-pound senior quarterback is 2nd in passing in the district coming into this game, as we see a first down. And that was purely on 2nd effort by Calvin Knight.
It sure was, because the Bruins were teeing off on him, and they were coming with a rush. They were bringing both linebackers that time, so they were looking for the pass. Of course, the best thing, one of the best weapons against that is a little swing pass out into the flat, which Hampton called, so it was a perfect call against that defense.
Ball marked shy of the Bethel 20, but a first down for the Crabbers, as they have dominated with their offense here in the first half, but only lead by the score of 3-0. Kroom hands off right side. Marvin Dickerson, lots of running room. He's down inside the 10, down to the 5, struggling all the way down to the 3-yard line. What a tremendous play by Marvin Dickerson.
Well, that was a fantastic run, Tim. That looks like it's about 18-yard scamper and run on the right side, and they just caught Bethel in a bad defense, because Bethel was pinching in, and he got outside and was nobody to stop him. And then after he got hit, he picked up 2 or 3 more yards.
All the way down to the Bethel 3-yard line. It's first down and goal to go, and a timeout being called by the Hampton Crabbers. With 3:33 remaining in the first half, our score, the Hampton Crabbers 3, the Bethel Bruins nothing. Will return with more of the game after this brief timeout.
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include handsome Hart, Schaffner, and Mark suits, stylish sport coats, and the traditional camel hair and cashmere blazers. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
Three minutes, 33 seconds remaining here in the first half. The Hampton Crabbers chalking up a lot of yards, both passing and rushing this afternoon. But actually, the Bethel Bruin defense, you got to give them credit. They've only bent for 3 points. So they've been tough when they've had to be.
Oh, they sure have, Tim. They being the Crabbers, have just dominated this first half of play offensively. And I know Mike Smith has got to be happy with that. But then he looks up at the scoreboard and sees he's only ahead by 3. I know he's not real happy, but they are in excellent position. They got a first and goal from the 3, and I don't look for them to pass the ball. Of course, every time I say that, they make a liar out of me. So let's see what happens. I look for them to try to push the ball over on the ground.
In the backfield is big 60 Weymouth Williams. So there's a switch for you. In the running back position is Williams, and he'll be the lead blocker for Marvin Dickerson. Dickerson will not get back to the line of scrimmage. So the Bethel Bruin defense once again stiffens, and Dickerson is held for little or no gain. Getting here, the Hampton Crabbers, we've talked about how successful they were early in the season. They beat the Phoebus Phantoms 34-0, then beat George Washington 42-0, 43-0 over Petersburg, 45-0 over Denby, 56-6 over Ferguson. It looked like they were going to just continue to score points till they hit the century mark, and then all of a sudden they ran into the Menchville Monarchs. 7-0 victory, but after that it's been all tough sledding. Dickerson, right side, close to the goal line, but I don't believe he got in. No, he did not. To finish out the scoring records for the Crabbers, they beat Menchville 7-0, then suffered a 14-0 loss by Lafayette. And then a game we did, and a great game in its own right, they lost to the Kecoughtan Warriors 16-5, and then came back last week with a big, absolute necessity, a 3-0 victory over the Warwick Raiders.
And Warwick has got a fine team, and that's one of the teams from the Peninsula that has secured a berth in the Division II playoffs.
Second and goal at the 2, right side, Dickerson. He stood up right at the goal line. No touchdown, and the Hampton Crabbers have found once again that green and gold wall of the Bethel Bruins, not giving up the touchdown.
That ball has got to be just about at the goal line, but the Hampton Crabbers are trying the right side of their offensive line, but Bethel, boy, they are tough on that goal line. They have got some people down there that have got some pride about stopping this Hampton Crabbers from scoring.
Listen to the Bethel crowd. We'll let you listen to it. You'll be able to tell it's 4th and goal, and they're going for the touchdown. The Bethel defense has held.
Boy, that'll be a nice boost to the Bethel morale, because they held a tough Hampton team right down there at their goal line. And of course the Crabbers thought they got in, but the Bruins just did a magnificent job. They spotted the ball about a foot from the goal line, Tim.
So give credit where it's due. The Bethel Bruin defense has held again, and in spite of the fact, I hate to be redundant, but they have bent during the first half, but they have not broken. They've given up a scant 3 points, and the Hampton Crabbers have got to be shaking their heads. What do they have to do to get into the end zone?
Yeah, no, that's it. But now Bethel's got to be very careful here not to have a turnover or get tackled in the end zone or anything, because that would give 2 points real quick right to the Hampton Crabbers.
They're asking the Hampton band, who was in that end zone, to not play during this particular series. Jason Wallace, who is quarterback, just simply couldn't hear himself think. So the officials have asked the band not to make the noise. Wallace will get a little bit of breathing room. He got about maybe a yard. Bethel fans on the sidelines calling for a penalty. They thought Hampton was still being a little more aggressive after the play was dead than they had cared for them to be. But no penalty forthcoming, just good old hard-nosed Hampton football.
That's exactly what it is, and you notice that he's got the backfield with Jason Wallace in there right now, Tim. That's your running backfield. There's no way he's going to pass the ball from where he is. But that was the safest play you could call. Just a quarterback keeper, go behind your right guard, hope he picks up a yard or two, give you a little breathing room, and that's what he got.
Second down and about 7. Left side carry for maybe a yard at the most. A quick reminder while I have this opportunity that during halftime of today's game, we'll invite you to join us for a discussion of the mentally healthy athletes with Ray Ruppert and Ann Wilkins. And this game is being brought to you in part by a grant from Wyatt Brothers of Old Hampton. Well, Bob, that is the end of the first half. We have seen a superb football game. Your comments?
My comments are my hat goes off to the Bethel High School defense, because I don't know what the statistics are, but Hampton marched 80 yards and kicked a field goal. They went down again, and they went about 20, 30 yards and missed a field goal, and then they got the ball, went all the way down to the 1-foot line and came away empty-handed. Here they are, dominating game offensively, statistically, but on the board, they're only 3 points ahead. So Kozlowski's got to be very, very happy going in to be able to really excite his ball players, get them pumped up to come back out, because that was a fine defensive stand down there at the end zone, goal line stand. That was just out of sight.
You won't see one any better than that. And the Hampton Crabbers at halftime lead the Bethel Bruins by the score of 3-0 on a 30-yard field goal by Mike Husted. And now we invite you to join us for our halftime program, and after that we'll return with the second half of action. But first, this brief timeout.
If you're having trouble finding the perfect gift, give a gift certificate from Wyatt Brothers and let him choose from a large selection of quality men's fashions and accessories. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
The second half is just about set to get underway. Bob, we saw one whale of a first half ball game. The Hampton Crabbers lead 3-0. And real briefly, we'll talk about some of the statistics of the first half.
Well, I tell you, we got some unofficial statistics here that Bethel High School only had 12 total yards offensively, while the Crabbers had 152. If you notice, the Crabbers are kicking off, but they're kicking into the wind, so that means they're going to have the wind to their back at the fourth quarter, which could be very instrumental in this ball game. But to have 152 yards and move the ball like the Crabbers has done and only end up with 3 points on the board says a whole lot for the Bruin defense. They made just one tremendous goal line stand down there towards the end of the first half, Tim.
Just about set to go. 24 minutes of high school football still to come between the Crabbers and the Bruins. Husted is going to kick a short kick. Going to be taken at about the 30-yard line. And the Crabbers, well, as I say, more or less a fair catch.
That's exactly what happened. That was C.J. Francis, and that's excellent field position. But the Crabbers do not want to let Boogie Wooten get a hold of that ball and on a run back, because he is running back all the way all year long.
Friday night in high school football, the Ferguson Mariners suffered a 41-0 loss at the hands of the Warwick Raiders, as the Warwick Raiders went absolutely crazy. 199 yards passing for Ferguson, but 318 yards for the Warwick Raiders on the ground. And Kecoughtan finished their season 26-14, a whipping of the Lafayette team and eliminating Lafayette from postseason play. This is William Beverly carrying the ball for the Bruins. One of the few times in this ball game we've seen Beverly handle the football.
Well, if you'll notice, Tim, that the people can also notice how bright it's gotten out, that the cloud cover has just about gone away, and that sun is really bright and shining out there now. So that means that the pass receivers for the Bruins, especially the third quarter, are going to be looking back into the sun.
Gain of about a yard for Beverly. Second down and 9 at the 33. Wallace, inside handoff. Beverly carries the ball, struggles to get some yardage, crosses the 35 to about the 37. 3 or 4 Crabbers had a crack at him. In there, along with others, was number 70, Sherwood Jones, for the Crabbers.
That was a misdirection play, trying to catch the Crabber defense going the other way. But you notice he substituted and got a quarterback in new backfield with Ken Johnson, a passing situation there, about a 3rd and 5.
To the near side comes Weaver, Darrell Weaver, on the near side in the wide receiver position. 3rd down and about 6. Johnson Back to pass, gets some pressure, gets the ball away, and it's going to be incomplete. William Beverly was the intended receiver. Again, Sherwood Jones over there for the Crabbers. Along with him on the play was Eric Hunter. Check that, Keith Custis, number 10 for the Crabbers.
That was a relatively safe pass. Normally, you would think that was a safe pass, but it was well defended, plus it was a tremendous pass rush. And of course, both coaches will tell you that the best pass defense is a good pass rush.
Todd Kelly, standing at his 22, will be in deep punt formation for the Bruins. Mike Stefanko back deep for the Crabbers. The left-footed kicker gets it away. A real fine kick, backing Stefanko all the way back to his 20-yard line. Trying to get some room on the left side. Gets some room. Sideline scamper, and he stepped out of bounds as Stefanko was literally tight roping it on the far sidelines. He stepped out of bounds, but not before giving the Crabbers position at their 35. So he stepped out relatively soon after he got that corner turn.
And I'll tell you what, he had a tremendous wall of blockers down there. That was going to be a nice run back if he could have stayed in bounds, but he got so close he just couldn't walk. He couldn't tightrope it all the way down the side, Tim. Now we'll see whether the Crabbers can continue their offensive surge that they had in the first half.
Darac Kroom will, of course, be the quarterback for the Crabbers. He's second in the district in passing with 914 yards. He's also 13th in the district in rushing the ball with almost 300 yards, 257 yards for the season. Pitchback goes to Marvin Dickerson. Dickerson gets about 3 yards, as we've seen a lot more of the ball handling by Dickerson than you might have expected, considering that both Knight and Stefanko are in the top 11 in the district in rushing. Marvin Dickerson's gotten the majority of the calls today.
Well, he's a little bit bigger runner, too, than the other two gentlemen that you named, and this Bruin defense is some hard hitters out there, and he's going to put a guy that's got a little more weight running that ball. But I look forward to putting the ball up in the air again. Darac Kroom's had excellent luck in passing the ball.
Dickerson again crosses the 40 to about the 42. As Dickerson is doing the majority of the ball carrying. Again, his size having somewhat to do with it. Stefanko is only 5'7", 140 pounds, but he's fourth in the district in scoring with 42 points, and he averages about 40 yards a game carrying the ball. He's 11th in the district in that particular category, but Stefanko has not been used in the backfield all that often here in the ball game. It's 9:16 and time remaining in the third quarter. And Hampton leading by the scant margin of 3 points. 3-0 on Mike Husted's 30-yard field goal in the first quarter. Dickerson breaks tackles and gets the first down for the Crabbers as he goes across the 45, and a good second effort on the part of Marvin Dickerson.
That really was, Tim, and I think he caught the Bruin defense looking for a pass, because that's what I was looking for, but he fooled us. There's no other way to put it, but he fooled us on that one. But that was a nice carriage because he was hit and then struggled for the 2 or 3 more extra yards to get the first down.
And Dickerson will come out of the ball game, and Mike Stefanko will check into the backfield for the Crabbers.
They have 2 wide receivers on the left side, Tim.
Blitz coming, and they just narrowly miss the ball carrier. This time for the Crabbers, yet another new number in the backfield is Wesley Johnson, number 20. Wesley Johnson comes into the ball game and carries the ball on his first try. He's a senior, 5'9", 172-pounder, and Johnson picks up almost 5.
Well, Kozlowski is sending his linebackers in on a blitz on first down, Tim, because Mike Smith has yet to call a first down pass plays. Every one of his plays on first down has been a running play, and he is gambling, and that time they avoided the rush and got outside, picked up about 5 yards.
Second and a long 5. Kroom wants to pass. On the far sideline, Keith Custis has it for the first down at the Bethel 40-yard line. So Kroom continues his success on the sideline patterns.
And he's not only throwing that ball with a lot of accuracy, but the timing has just been excellent. The receiver's been able to catch the ball and drag their feet and get out of bounds. And that's the best quarterback that I have seen in high school as far as passing the ball with accuracy since I can remember.
First down for the Crabbers, the ball at the Bethel 40. This is Marvin Dickerson struggling to get to the 35. He'll be a little shy of the 35. Call it the 36, a pickup of 4 yards. To complete, in the first half, I was able to run down the scoring by games for the Crabbers. Let's do the same now for the Bethel Bruins as they open the season with a 16-14 loss at the hands of the Kempsville team from the other side of the water. And then they defeated Menchville 34-7. Then they beat Ferguson 33-7 before losing 12-0 at Warwick. Came back with a victory of 20-17 over Lafayette, and I'll continue that in just a moment. This is again Dickerson trying the middle of the line, maybe a yard at the most. Just to round it out, the Bruins finished with a 3-0 victory over Kigatan, a 17-14 victory over Patrick Henry of Roanoke, and then beat Phoebus. Check that, lost to Phoebus 13-9. And then went on last week to win 48-0 over Denby. So Phoebus did stop the Bethel Bruins in the game that we were fortunate enough to do here at Darling Stadium. But Bethel comes into the game winning 4 of their last 5 starts.
Well, the
Third
Bruins
down and about 6.
Excuse me, the Bruins that time went into a full blitz, and they didn't have any chance at all of running that ball. And I was looking for him to put it up again. And, of course, Mike's fooled me and run a running play, but he's well short of the first down.
Dickerson once again carries for the Crabbers. The Crabbers need to get to the 30, and they've marked it at the 34. So well outside the range of a field goal. We'll wait to see here the play coming in from the sidelines for the Crabbers in the form of Hurley Miles bringing the play in. Marvin Dickerson checks out. So we've got Hurley Miles in the backfield for the Crabbers.
Well, excuse me, just a second, Tim. He may be trying to draw the Crabbers offside, too. I'm sorry, check. That's exactly what he's trying to do. He went down and tried to draw the Bruins offside so they get that penalty, which would have been a first down because it is 4th down. And the Crabbers to turn the ball over at that point of the field would have been a good field position for the Crabbers.
All right, the Bruins. With 6:31 remaining in the third quarter, a timeout on the field. The score, Hampton 3, Bethel nothing. We'll be back after this message from Wyatt Brothers.
60.
Whether you're a Hampton Crabber or a Bethel Bruin, for great gift ideas, visit Wyatt Brothers Men's Fashions in Old Hampton. Wyatt Brothers, with the stylish Jack Nicklaus blazers complemented by Hathaway shirts, Reese of New Haven ties, and Florsheim shoes. Wyatt Brothers has a wide selection of handsome Hart, Schaffner, and Mark suits, stylish sport coats, and their traditional camel hair and cashmere blazers. You'll also find a wide selection of Izod and Lord Jeff sweaters in all the colors of the rainbow, and the popular Pendleton sport shirts, as well as stylish and comfortable outerwear by London Fog and Hart, Schaffner, and Marks. Gift certificates are also available for that special person on your list. For great gift ideas, visit Wyatt Brothers Men's Fashions. They're located in Old Hampton at South King Street and Settlers Landing Road. Wyatt Brothers is pleased to be a sponsor of the Hampton-Bethel game.
.6:31 remains here in the third quarter. Hampton 4th down and 4 at the Bethel 34. Hampton's ploy to get Bethel off sides did not work. They had to call a timeout. And now with 4th down, they'll go for it. Broom is going to be caught for a loss, and the Bethel Bruins will take over.
That was a fine defensive surge by the Bruins. They threw the quarterback in the backfield. There was only 2 receivers out for the Crabbers. Will Jeter and Alexander are the only 2 people out, so that turns the ball over, and Bruins have an excellent field position.
Once again, the Bethel Bruin defense comes up big, as they have all afternoon, and now they'll try on offense. Kent Johnson will be the quarterback for the Bethel Bruins. When I get a chance, Bob, I'd like to have a chance to run down the standings as we have them after and through, including Friday night's ball games. Ken Johnson, 1st and 10 from the 40. Good field position for the Bruins. Johnson has time to pass. Now steps up and will be taken down for a loss. So the Hampton Crabber defense, the defensive backs did the job long enough for the defensive lineman in the form of Andrew Bergeron to do the stopping for the Hampton Crabbers.
All right, and Kozlowski is sending in Wallace, Jason Wallace, number 10, quarterback with with a completely brand new backfield with 3 other running backs. So you'll see the wishbone now. Kaz can't get his receivers open. The Crabbers doing a fantastic job of their defensive backs covering the pass receivers.
Bird, Beverly, and Dula in the backfield along with Kent Johnson.
Wallace's handoff to Bird.
Rusty Bird carries for the Bruins, gets the ball back almost to the line of scrimmage. It's going to be marked at the 39, so it'll be 3rd down and 11. And why don't you run down real quickly how the standings are right now, Bob?
Standings as of last night, Hampton and Bethel both have 5-2 records. Phoebus and Warwick are 5-3, along with Lafayette. Kickingham is 4-3-1. Denby 5-2. Ferguson 1-5-1, and Menchville, of course, is 1-6.
4:50 to go in the 3rd quarter. 3rd down and 11 on the halfback draw. Back barely to the line of scrimmage, and that's all, as the ball carrier was Rod Harrison, who had reasonably good success early in the ball game, had a real fine game last week against Denby, but this time the Crabber defense was waiting for him, and it brings up a 4th and 10. So the Bruin offense, with only 12 total yards unofficially in the first half, find the tough going again here in the second half.
They have nothing so far this half. Again, Todd Kelly is punting with the wind at his back. And the sun is in the eyes of the receiver.
Kelly drops the football. It's going to be Hampton football inside the 30.
Tim, that was just a fumble on his part. That was nothing wrong with the snap. I think he was just kind of complacent, and he took his eyes off the ball. And you know and I know, you got to look at the ball into your hands to catch the ball.
A big play for the Crabbers, as we have seen our first turnover of the ball game. If memory serves me correctly, we haven't had any fumbles or interceptions up to this point.
And they've had very, very few penalties, if any. I think we've only had maybe 1 or 2 penalties. So this has been a clean game, and also it's been a good physical contest out there. But that is a major mistake on the Bruins' part. 1st
and 10 at the Bruin 28-yard line. Kroom pitches back to Marvin Dickerson. Dickerson looking for some running room, and he's got it for a 1st down. Big Marvin Dickerson showing real fine running form.
He showed good speed going on to the outside. That's the first time tonight that they have, or this afternoon, they've been able to get outside with any success, and he picked up 10 to 12 yards.
Well, actually, they're going to mark it just shy of a 10-yard gain. They're going to call it a 9-yard pickup. So Dickerson went out of bounds inside the 20 at about the 18-yard line. So the Bethel Bruins now faced with a big defensive stand. They've done it all day. We'll have to wait and see if they can continue. Kroom over the center. Dickerson, middle of the line. Looks like he may have the 1st down. We'll wait and see. 3:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The clock is stopped now as they'll mark the ball, and they'll indicate a 1st down for the Crabbers. So the Crabber offense has been very much in evidence this afternoon after having taken the last 4 weeks off in the form of scoring at least. They have yet to get back on the scoreboard with a touchdown.
I know if they could get a touchdown, that would just do so much for the morale of that offensive unit, because they have moved the ball up and down the field for the Crabbers, but they just haven't been able to get it in the end zone.
The last time the Crabber offense scored a touchdown was against Menchville, and that was 4 games ago. Now they've got a new breath of life. Stefanko gets the pitch out. Oh, Stefanko is fast, and is he strong? As they simply bowled his way down close to a 1st down.
I don't know what size he is, but he is not a very big man. But he carried that ball like he was John Riggins, because he had 2 people hanging on to him, and he kept right on going, Tim.
5'7" and 140 pounds. My left leg weighs 140 pounds. This young man was carrying Bruins all over the field.
He did a fantastic job. That was a good fake. Everybody went for the inside handoff, and he pitched it to the outside, and he picked up, looks like pick up a good 8 yards on that.
Just shy of a 9-yard gain. We'll call it 2nd down and a short 2 for the Crabbers. They are inside the 10. We've got flags down. It looked like Hampton may have been called for illegal procedure. It looked like a couple of the linemen left a little early.
Well, not only that, Tim, but one of the backfield men moved. And, of course, once you move, you got to be set for a full second before the snap of the ball. So the penalty is definitely against the Crabbers.
And you know, not to argue your point about a lack of penalties, but there was a very crucial penalty earlier in the first half where the Hampton Crabbers had a 3rd down and 5 inside the 15 and ended up with a delay of game penalty that cost them 5 yards and eventually cost them a scoring opportunity.
You're right. I forgot that. But as far as the number of penalties, Tim, there have not been that many penalties. You and I have stood up here and watched a couple games when it looked like it was raining flags out there. But today it's been a fairly clean contest as far as the number, but the penalties seem to really have been at an inopportune time.
Backs the ball up to the 13. It's still 2nd down. Kroom is stormed under, but he gets away from one man. Now gets the pass away to a wide open Will Jeter. Jeter is struggling to get close to the end zone. He'll be pushed out of bounds, but not before he gets to about the 7-yard line.
I tell you what, Kroom really surprised a lot of people because I thought he was tackled. Looked like 2 or 3 Bruins had him in the backfield. He got away, and another one was hitting him as he threw the ball to Will Jeter.
Timeout for a measurement.
It's going to be close enough for a measurement, and while we have this opportunity, I want to make you aware of something that's going to be happening very shortly here. The Peninsula District Coaches Association is sponsoring a clinic for area high school athletes to be titled Athletic Awareness Day on November the 15th of this year from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Warwick High School. Topics to be presented are follows. Topic on ramification of drugs, and it'll be presented by Clarence Hawkins, Bobby Danders, former Washington Bullet and NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks, Paul Webb, and Janice Collins. And the Crabbers now come up with a 3rd down and less than a yard. So just a reminder that if you'd like to attend that, it'll be on the 15th of November from 9 to 1 at Warwick High School. And free transportation will be provided, door prizes and gifts for each athlete.
Well, Tim, that's not only less than a yard, that is less than a foot. They've got about an inch or inch and a half to go to pick up that 1st down. And it is 3rd down, so they got 2 tries at it. I know the first thing he wants to do is get that 1st down.
Let's not forget that the Bethel defense had a 4th and goal at the 1-inch line and failed to let Hampton failed to score. So a big 3rd down and inches at the 7. Dickerson gets the call, and he may have the 1st down. We'll let the officials decide.
Yes, he got the 1st down, Tim.
All right, a 1st down for the Hampton Crabbers at the 7, 1st and goal. Another quick reminder for you to watch Sports Report with A.G. Womble Tuesday through Thursday. Check that Tuesday through Friday at 3, 6, and 8 p.m. here on Channel 29. A.G. Womble with Sports Report right here.
A.G. does a real good job. I watched quite a few of those programs where he talks to the different coaches and the different athletes throughout the Hampton school system, and just does a fantastic job of letting us, the people, know what's going on.
Inside the 5 to the 3-yard line is Wesley Johnson. Johnson not seeing a lot of action today. Go ahead.
Number 39, C.J. Francis stopped the touchdown because he had some speed up, and it looked like to me that he was going to get the touchdown, but C.J. Francis did a fine defensive play.
You know, you have to wonder how year after year Hampton and Bethel are able to come up with these superb teams. You don't lose a Robbie Robinson like the Hampton Crabbers did last year and not feel the effects, but they keep coming up with these guys year after year.
Well, that says a lot for the coaching staffs of both teams. Both coaching staffs just do a fantastic job.
2nd and goal at the 3. Fake to Dickerson. Pass completed. Touchdown.
Tim, that's what I kind of looked for at the end down here. The other time, it was a quick pass in the center because Hampton was trying to run the ball in, and Bethel kept getting closer and closer. That time, Mike Smith did a good job of crossing the defense up and scored with a touchdown pass.
John Crutchfield, number 88, little used receiver for the Crabbers, comes up with a very fine catch and a touchdown for the Crabbers with just 37 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. The extra try point is up, and it's good by Husted.
Well, that's what Mike Smith needed to do, because if he's going to go into the playoffs, he's got to be able to go into the playoffs being able to know that his offense can score some touchdowns. And that has been a long drought. They went, 1 touchdown in 4 games and none in the last 3. So I know that's got to pump his his offensive team up, and it'll help the defense also.
So there's a timeout on the field with 37 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The score, Hampton 10, Bethel nothing. We'll be back after this brief timeout and a message from Wyatt Brothers.
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include stylish Jack Nicklaus blazers complemented by Hathaway shirts, Reese of New Haven ties, and Florsheim shoes. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
Mike Husted got the ball teed up. He scored the extra point. Again, they kick away from Boogie Wooden. It takes a hop, hits a player for Bethel, and the ball is live. That ball belongs to anybody, and the Crabbers have got it. At least they say they do. We'll wait for the official announcement. And they've got it on the second turnover of the ball game.
Well, that's a big one because you just scored a touchdown, and of course the defense for the Bruins are kind of let down emotionally because they just give up 7 points, and boom, they're right back on the field again. And this is a time that the Crabbers can score real quick and really kind of seal this game up if they wanted to.
There you see Coach Kozlowski having a few words for a couple of his players on the near sidelines. He's extremely upset with a couple of the players, and one in particular. So the Crabbers again with a big golden opportunity. 33 seconds remain here in the third quarter. They lead 10-0 and have the ball at the Bethel 30. Kroom has the ball, and he is tackled immediately as almost instantly the ball was snapped and he was grabbed in the backfield. So a perfect defensive timing on the part of the Bethel Bruins. They were literally in the backfield with the ball.
They were that. Number 77, Delton Wright for the Bruins, was there by the time that Brock Kroom turned around to hand the ball off or something. He had no chance. I tell you what, I believe they made the Bethel Bruins defense bad because there were 3 of them in the backfield at that time.
Thank you.
So a loss of 2 yards for Kroom as Hampton will simply allow the time to run out here in the third quarter. And after 3 quarters, our score is the Hampton Crabbers 10, the Bethel Bruins nothing. We'll be back with the fourth quarter of action after this brief timeout and a message from Wyatt Brothers.
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include a wide selection of Izod and Lord Jeff sweaters in all the colors of the rainbow and the popular Pendleton sports shirts. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
Tim Cole with Bob Hins back at Darling Stadium. The fourth quarter of action set to get underway. The Hampton Crabbers leading 10-0. The Crabbers lead this series by the victory. 12 victories, 5 losses, and 1 tie over the years. Last year, the Hampton Crabbers defeated Bethel on their way to the state championships by the score of 21-15 right here at Darling Stadium. The Bethel Bruins certainly not out of this ball game, Bob, but if you were the coach, what would you do to change things here in the fourth quarter?
I know what Coach Kozlowski is thinking, that he's going to have to put that ball up in the air and get his offense moving the ball down the field. If you run a quarterbacks in and you run different backfields in, sometime it can be detrimental to you. You don't get cohesiveness in your blocking assignments and the timing with your backfield, and he's going to go with one backfield and stay with it from this point on. But number one thing they got to do right now is stop Hampton.
Kroom quickly on the far sideline for Michael Alexander, and he trapped the ball, and we have a flag on the field. So a penalty flag has been thrown. The ball was incomplete, and we'll wait and see what the call will be on the penalty. Thrown almost immediately. They're going to be talking to the Bethel team, so obviously it'll be against the Crabbers, and it's a holding call. And it's amazing that someone could hold someone that quickly because the flag was thrown almost as soon as the ball was snapped.
Yeah, it sure was. And of course that's going to put a lot of pressure on the Crabbers now, because that'll give them a second down. Or it could be a third down. They may just decline this penalty because there'll be a third down. No, they're going to take the penalty, so it'll be a second down and about. It's a 10-yard walk-off, so it looks like about 22, Tim.
So the down will remain the same, but the yardage will be substantial as they'll mark it at the 42-yard line of Bethel. Coach Mike Smith, extremely successful over the years, 167 victories and only 25 losses in his coaching career here at Hampton High School. This game, of course, crucial. The victor of this game goes on to the playoffs without question. Kroom has some time, wants to pass, snaps the ball out very quickly. Mike Alexander makes a great move to get away from one would-be tackler, and then is taken down inside the 30 at the 26 of Bethel.
That was a fantastic move. He almost got away from the second tackler.
It was reminiscent of that game between the Washington Redskins the other night when the play was very similar, a quick pass and then a quick turnaround.
That was Mike Clark that made that move that scored the touchdown against the Vikings to win that ball game, but that was the same type of move. He picked up, looks like he picked up about 15 yards on that play, so they got a 3rd and 7.
But still a 3rd and 7 nonetheless. And a big play for the Crabbers if they wish to keep this drive alive. Again, that same play, Alexander on the quick pass on the sideline will not get Hampton the first down. And it'll be 4th down for the Hampton Crabbers now. Time moving in the favor of the Crabbers, 10 minutes and 53 seconds. That's the time remaining in the 4th quarter.
Well, right now the Bruins have got to stop the Crabbers. A field goal wouldn't hurt them, Tim, because they got to score twice anyway to win. But the Crabbers are going to take a timeout, talking over. Mike Smith is going to do something here, but I don't think he's going to kick the ball. I look for him to go for a pass play, try to pick up the 7 yards. Oh, I'm sorry, in this case about 4 yards to get that first down.
Just to recap for you very quickly, if I may, the only scoring in the first half was a 30-yard field goal by Mike Husted, and that came with 22 seconds to go in the first quarter. Hampton moved the ball extremely well during the first half, but was unable to score a touchdown and came away with just the 3 points. And then, with only 37 seconds remaining in the third quarter, John Crutchfield made the catch in the end zone from Duroc Kroom, a 3-yard touchdown pass. The extra point was good, and the Crabbers lead right now 10-0 with 10:43 remaining here in the ball game. We will hopefully have a playoff game for you that'll be played this coming Friday or Saturday. At this point, because of that complex situation with who goes and who they play and so forth, we're not sure at this point who we'll be covering, but we hope to be doing as many playoff games as we possibly can.
Right.
Let me see a good look at the shirt sleeve crowd here, a strange phenomenon on a November afternoon to see the temperature this balmy. 4th down and 4 for the Crabbers. The pass incomplete as Mike Alexander had a shot at it, but just simply couldn't hold on. And once again, the Bethel defense has held the Crabbers. But let's give credit to the Bethel Bruin defense.
Well, I tell you what, there was nothing wrong with that pass. That was a good pass. The young man just went into the open area between the linebacker and the halfback and just did a little hook route and was wide open and just simply lost sight of the ball. Again, they're looking back into the sun. I don't want to give him a reason that he dropped it, but the pass receivers of Hampton are looking back into the sun, Tim.
So the Bruins take over, 1st and 10 at the 22. Jason Wallace running for his life. He's in the grasp of a tackler, gets the ball away, and it goes incomplete. And to avoid a lengthy loss, very wisely, Wallace threw it in the area of Anthony Boogie Wooden, and Wooden, of course, fielded it on the one hop, and it'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Bruins.
That would have been about an 8-yard loss because he was definitely going to be tackled, and he did a good job, heads up. And that was very surprising that he's got Wallace in there quarterbacking and throwing the ball rather than Ken Johnson, but Ken hasn't been very accurate when he has been in there, so he's going with Wallace, the more experienced, the senior. He's going to give him a chance to pull this game out. They've got to score twice, Tim.
2nd down and 10 from the Bethel 23. Wallace gets pressure, gets it away. William Beverly's got it at the 25, and he is tackled immediately by a pair of Crabbers. Over there quickly for the Crabbers, number 10 is Keith Custis, and number 78, Derek Cooper. So the Crabber defense gave some yardage, but not really that much, as they show a 3-yard gain for the Bruins, and they've got to get their offense on track if they hope to win this game.
They really do, and they've got to get at least 7 yards because there's no way you can go 4th down to just into the field, because that would just give the Crabbers too much opportunity to score. So they've got to pick up the 7 yards here. They've got to get a 1st down or they'll punt the ball.
Wallace has Beverly and Bird in the backfield. His pass intended for Todd Kelly was again overthrown, and it'll be 4th down and a kicking situation for the Bruins. So the pass was pretty close to being there, but not quite, and unable to reach it was Todd Kelly.
Well, now Todd Kelly's got to come back and punt, and the wind is in his face, so the Crabbers should get pretty good field position off of this exchange.
Little Mike Stefanko will be standing at his 44-yard line. Kelly, who fumbled the last time on the punt situation, will undoubtedly take more time and caution in handling this ball. Crabbers coming, but not really close to blocking the ball. A high kick. Stefanko has time to make the grab at the 42, and now heads up for the far sideline. And he's grabbed from behind and thrown down, much to the delight of the Bethel Bruin crowd.
And they were excited because had he got by that tackler, he had a wall of blockers on that side, and he would have picked up a lot of yardage for sure. That was a fine defensive play. I didn't catch the number of the tackler, Tim.
Cyrus Boyd, number 20, was the Bruin that made that big tackle there, as Stefanko was setting up that return on the far sideline. And a fine play by Boyd to prevent a big gainer for the Crabbers. So the Crabbers have the ball at their 44. 9:21 remains in the 4th quarter, and the Crabbers lead by the score of 10-0. Hampton defense allowing but 4 points a game this season. This is Marvin Dickerson, puts his head down, drives off a couple of would-be tacklers, and finally picks up about 2 or 3 yards.
If you can see what's happening now, Mike is going to keep the ball on the ground for the most part, and I have said that in the past. He's ended up passing the ball, but right now Bethel Bruins have 2 opponents. They've got the Crabbers. They've got to stop their Crabber offense and get the ball back and score, but they also have the time, or the clock is their opponent.
And we're inside of 9 minutes and 40, check that, 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Hampton has not been scoring the points they did early in the season, but they've still been able to get that defense to keep the other teams from scoring. And they are looking now to ice this victory if they can keep this drive alive. Pickup of 3 the last time. 2nd down and 7. Kroom gets pressure, steps away from 2 men, still has the football, gets away from a 3rd would-be tackler, and now has some running room. So Kroom makes something out of nothing.
I know Coach Kozlowski, you're just going crazy on the sideline. There were 3 or 4 people that should have tackled Kroom in the backfield, and he just sidestepped and moved just as cool as a cucumber. I can't get over how well that young man is playing with the poise he's playing. He's passed the ball excellently. He ran the ball that time, should have been thrown for a loss, got the 1st down.
Got the 1st down is right. As they've crossed the 45, they mark it on the Bethel 44. Kroom, as I mentioned before, 2nd in the district in passing, and is in the top 15 in rushing the ball. So he's not just a passing quarterback. He can do it all for you.
And you see what Mike Smith said to me. I said he'd keep the ball on the ground. Of course, he went back to pass and ended up running the ball.
Kroom passes out on the flat for Mike Alexander. Alexander will pick up 6 before he's driven out of bounds. And over on the stop for the Bethel Bruins was Mario Grimes, number 24. But not before Mike Alexander is able to pick up almost 6 yards. So they'll take that play every time. Hampton will. The one thing they didn't want to do was stop the clock, which is what has happened. But they did pick up almost 6 yards.
Well, in this case, you want to keep the Bruins defense off balance. You don't want to let them know that that's all you're going to do is run the ball. You got to keep them off balance, and Mike Smith is doing a good job with that.
And down close to a 1st down again for the Crabbers is Calvin. Check that, is Wesley Johnson, number 20. And he gets real close to the 1st down. In fact, they're going to measure for the 1st down. It's going to be that close. I think he missed it by an inch where he got one. I'm just going to give you my call. No binoculars.
I'm not going to even say, Tim, you were so accurate last time. I swear if I didn't know any better, you went out and measured it before they did.
I might be wrong on this one.
It's going to be close.
I don't feel real good about this, but I think it's going to be just shy. I was off by an inch. He had to roll the ball over, if you noticed there. He had to nudge it a little forward, but I was wrong.
They got the first down, Tim, but that official must have been listening to you on his headset or something. I don't know.
No, please don't write or call. That was okay. They've got the ball now at the 34 of the Bruins, but more importantly, or just as importantly, they've got 4 fresh downs. Inside handoff, Wesley Johnson bounces off one guy and drives all the way down inside the 30. So the Bruin defense has got to be a tired bunch of young men because they have been out there a lot this afternoon.
That you took the words right out of my mouth. They have spent more time on the field today than what most the Bruin defense do, because the Bruin offense usually will keep the ball for a few series of downs anyway, rather than just 3 downs and punt. And they got to be getting tired.
Pickup of about 5. So Johnson comes in the ball game and does some fine ball carrying for the Crabbers. You look for Knight and Stefanko to be the ball carriers, but so far it's been Dickerson and Johnson. In the end zone, high above his head, the intended receiver, the ball is incomplete. Keith Custis got way up on his ladder and just couldn't quite get to the ball. It falls harmlessly incomplete in the end zone. But again, that pass was not far from being completed.
Well, that ball was well thrown, but the receiver slowed down to look to see where the ball was going. There was an open receiver that was in the flat that was short, maybe got about 10 yards, was open, and he elected to go for the touchdown. And the ball, I can't tell on the play how close he was to going out of bounds if he would have caught the ball, Tim.
Custis is only 5'9", so had he been a little taller, he might have had a better shot at that ball. We've got flags, and we're going to have an illegal procedure call, I believe, against the Crabbers. It appeared that the left end for the Crabbers left his 3-point stance just before the ball was snapped. But again, that's just a guess on my part, and we'll wait to see how they call this. It apparently was against the Crabbers because they threw the flag almost immediately as the ball was being snapped, and that's what it's going to be. Marked off against Hampton.
Well, the foul or the penalty occurred before the snap of the ball. That's why the ball was blown dead, would not let the play stand. Now they got a 3rd and 10, so you know they're going to put the ball up. I say you know that, I know that, right?
You know they think they may.
Mike Smith has fooled me many times.
They marked it back in the original line of scrimmage, the 34. It's 3rd down and 10, 6:15 remains in the ball game. Kroon wants to pass, gets pressure from Lego, now throws it into the hands of Mike Alexander, but Alexander just simply can't hold on to it. William Beverly for the Bethel Bruins over defending on the play, as he was there in the event that Alexander did catch the ball. So now again we have the Bethel Bruin defense, as tired as they may be, coming up with the big play.
They really did. That ball was right in his hands. He should have caught that thing, but like you said, Beverly hit him as the ball got there too, so it's a little hard to concentrate when you're getting hit at the same time. And it looks like he's bringing in the kicking unit, so...
Mike Smith is not going to play this real gamble here because this game is just too important. It appears, and I'll use that word because you never know what's going to happen, it appears that Husted will be kicking from just inside the 50-yard line. He angles it for the sidelines, and it goes way out of bounds. And I don't think we're going to see much of a net gain on that kick at all, as Husted's kicking percentage and averages will certainly suffer for that one. They gain 1 yard.
I was going to say he got a 1-yard kick on it. I know that's not what he intended to do. I know he wanted to kick the ball out of bounds to keep it away from Boogie Wooten, but he wanted to get a little more yardage than that he got on there. But now we got, what is that, Tim? Just over 6 minutes to go. The Bruins have on their own 32-yard line. They've got a long way to go. They've got to score 2 times.
We would be glad to run down the playoff situation for you if, in fact, we knew. It all depends on what other teams do. But again, to reiterate, Bob, as I understand it, Bethel can advance to the playoffs even with a loss today. Is that correct?
It's possible. I'll give it as soon as this play's over. I'll give you what I've got on it, Tim.
Wallace is the quarterback. He's going to pass it. He completes the pass near sideline, just shy of the 40-yard line. And his pass receiver was 81, Melendez Bird, who made that grab. We've got him listed as a linebacker and a fullback. He's 6'2", 182, and he got the pass completion, and it's going to be second down and about 4.
Well, what happens right now in the AAA Division I, Great Bridge is seeded number 1, Green Run is seeded number 2. If the Crabbers win, they'll be number 3. If the Bruins win, they'll be number 4. And then you go into the group Division II, and we'll be with that in a minute.
Pass intended for Todd Kelly, and kind of a late hit, almost a spearing call could have been made there against one of the Crabbers. Looked like he buried his helmet in the back of Todd Kelly.
That was very close to being a penalty, and I was very surprised not to see a flag thrown. You get to the Group 2, Division 2, AAA Division 2, Craddock, Warwick, and Lake Taylor have already clinched, unofficially have clinched playoff berth. Phoebus could clinch a berth with a win tonight over Cox. Bethel is the number 1 seed, but if they lose, that almost knocks them out. So it depends on what other teams also do tonight.
Of course, as you're watching this game, you'll already know this is Wallace along the sideline, steps out of bounds, and he gets the first down for the Bruins. So the Bethel crowd has something to cheer for, something they really haven't had a lot to cheer about in this ball game, with the exception of the fine defensive play. This is one of the few times that Bethel has gotten a first down.
It sure is, and they need something to go to get them down the field and score. Now, let me go back to the playoffs in the AAA Division I right now. If Hampton wins, they will play Green Run, because Hampton will be number 3, Green Run is number 2, so 2 and 3 will play each other. If the Bruins would win, then they would be seeded number 4. They would play Great Bridge, which was seeded number 1. Right now, it looks as if the Hampton's going to win. They would be playing next week. They'd be playing Green Run.
5:11 remaining in the ball game. First down for Bethel, just shy of the 50. Wallace airs it out for Darrell Weaver, and the ball is intercepted by Mike Alexander of Hampton. So Darrell Weaver, one of the Twin Towers, was the intended receiver. The ball was picked off by little Mike Alexander. And the reason I say little, Weaver comes in at 6'5", Alexander is 5'10". So Alexander got the position and made the interception.
He did a good job. He played the ball all the way, didn't worry about the receiver. He went for the ball and made a nice interception on that play. But that also puts the Bruins down there closer to the end zone. So what they could do is hopefully cause a turnover or something so they can get the ball back. And I know the Crabbers are real happy because now they got a chance to really run some time off that clock.
We do have a penalty flag on the play, and we're waiting to see what effect that will have on the placement of the ball. We haven't seen the official give us an indication at this point, but it appears to be against the Crabbers. This game, as you're watching it, of course, is being shown Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday here on Channel 29. So if you're watching the game Monday night and some of your friends may not have known about it, you might want to let them know that the game is on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. right here on Channel 29. And don't forget to watch Sports Report with A.G. Womble, Tuesday through Friday at 3, 6, and 8 p.m. right here on Channel 29 WHCS.
Tim, that foul was a dead ball foul, so they put the first down marker and then went half the distance to the goal line against the Crabbers. That was a late hit or something, I don't know, but it happened after the whistle had blown. There was a dead ball foul.
Well, the Crabbers now with the ball and the clock in their favor. Handoff right up the middle, Marvin Dickerson all the way out to the 25-yard line. So Dickerson picks up big yardage and gets back all of that penalty and then some.
He sure did. They did a good job opening in a hole that time. I don't know where the linebacker was. There was no linebacker covering that spot. And that's one of the longest runs from scrimmage today for the Crabbers.
About 14 yards for Dickerson. So he has come into this game taking a back seat, if you will, in the statistics to Stefanko and Knight. But he has been the leading ball carrier for the Crabbers this afternoon without question. Second down and about 6. This is Dickerson again. Dickerson gets away from one man, crosses the 25 to about the 26, and the Crabbers will be facing a 3rd down and 5 in the ball game. Now has less than 4 minutes remaining.
And Hampton is just content with the run and play and getting some time off that clock.
Into the ball game for the Crabbers comes Stefanko and Alexander. Wesley Johnson checks out.
Now, I'd say that he won't pass, Tim. Would you look for a pass play at this point?
And this position on the field, No, but with Mike Smith, the coach, who can tell? We'll wait and see. Broom will pass. Over the middle is picked off. One of those things you didn't want to have happen. And Derek Broom makes a big tackle, but not before the Bethel Bruins come up with a football. Sal Buccellato comes up with the interception, his second in 2 games.
Well, that's a big play, and that could mean a big thing in this ball game. Because now, the Bruins are in good scoring position. They score, go for 2, get the 2-point, and now a field goal will win it for them. I don't want to second guess the coaches because coach has been great, but that was not what I would have done.
No, I have to second guess that too, Bob. I don't care. That was just not the play that they needed to come up with right then. But right now, the Bruins are in it. Trailing by 10, 3 minutes and some change remain. And Kent Johnson, the passing quarterback, is in there. He wants to throw. It's going to be, well, is it going to be intercepted or not? Yes, they say, but we have a flag down. We had contact. Todd Kelly made contact with one of the Hampton defenders. And if in fact it is against Hampton, that'll be another big play for the Bruins.
It sure will, because it will nullify the interception, because he's saying that it happened before the interception.
And a lot of the Bethel Bruin fans headed for the exits after the ball was turned over to the Hampton Crabbers a little while ago, and they may have left this game just a little bit early. I can't believe anyone would walk away from a Hampton-Bethel game with a score 10-0.
You don't walk away. When Hampton and Bethel play, you can sort of throw away the record books of what they have done all year, because it's going to be a good game, and it's not going to be won by a lot of points. But Hampton has made 2 critical mistakes here in these last 2 plays.
Interference the call against the Crabbers, and the Bruins have new life. They have a first down at the 9-yard line. So Bethel certainly is alive and well. 2:55, the clock moving. Hampton with their backs to the goal line. First and goal. Down to about the 6-yard line.
That was Rodney Harrison carrying the ball that time. They've got to get the ball in the end zone, and I can't see. Looks like May picked up about a yard on the play attempt, so he's still got to get in the end zone. But you know what I know, that if they do score, they're going for 2, and they're going to do an onside kick.
Inside, Harrison gets away from one tackler down to the 5. And more importantly, the clock is running. We have 2:06. And now a timeout is being called by the Bruins to stop the clock. I believe, and memory may serve me wrong on this, but I believe that's the first timeout taken by the Bruins.
Right. There was a timeout earlier up here during the first half, or second half, was taken by the Crabbers.
Well, while we have a timeout, let me take this opportunity to again remind you about the Peninsula District Coaches Association as sponsoring a clinic for area high school athletes to be titled Athletic Awareness Day on November 15th, 1986 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Warwick High School. Topics include the ramification of drugs, the SAT, testing and financial aid, and also rules of recruiting, Proposition 48, and college eligibility. The Bob Moorman, Commissioner of the CIAA, the regional NCAA representative, will be there to discuss the rules of recruiting and Proposition 48. Free transportation will be provided and door prizes and gifts for each athlete. So if you'd like more information, contact the school to find out about that on the 15th of November. And if you'd like to attend, be sure and do so. Well, 2:07 remains here in the ball game. Hampton leading by the score of 10-0. They scored a field goal in the first half, a touchdown here in the second half. To this point, Bethel has been unable to capitalize, but a big turnover. The interception by Sal Buccellato has given the ball to the Bruins and new life at the Hampton 5-yard line. It's third down and goal. William Beverly's got it. He's close to the goal line. He will not get in. And we'll have to see exactly where they mark the ball, but it's going to be fourth down, Bob.
And this is a must situation for the Bruins. They've got to score. This is the only chance they've got. And they're right up there. He called 2 plays in the huddle, so he's ready to go.
Fourth and goal. The ball fumbled. Wallace has still got it, but he's going to be stopped. The Crabbers will take over.
That was just a miss. I don't believe that that it was an exchange problem. I believe when he turned around to fake the ball, he didn't have a good hold of it. But that was a big turnover, a big mistake or fumble or whatever you will for the Bruins, because they should have scored at that point. Tim, going back, that was the first mistake that Kroom had made throwing the ball all day. He had been pinpoint accuracy, and to throw an interception at this point, a lot of people would say that was bad. But I'll tell you, I think a fantastic job. When you see the defensive coverage that the Bruins have been given, he's just done an excellent job.
He has not had an easy pass play all game as far as I can see. And let's face it, I don't know what his stats are, but he's had a couple drops to boot. So the Crabbers, more importantly now, take over in the shadow of their own end zone nonetheless, but they've got the ball and the clock is moving, and you will see very sure-handed handoffs during this particular play. And now we're going to see a timeout as Bethel has to, in desperation, stop the clock. And we'll take a brief timeout here with 1 minute and 11 seconds remaining. Our score, the Hampton Crabbers 10, the Bethel Bruins nothing. We'll return after this message from Wyatt Brothers.
Gift ideas from Wyatt Brothers include stylish and comfortable outerwear by Pierre Cardin, London Fog at Hart, Schaffner & Marks. Wyatt Brothers, Old Hampton.
Tim Cole with Bob Hins back at Darling Stadium as you see a large crowd on hand, a sellout crowd undoubtedly for this, the 20th meeting of the Hampton Crabbers and the Bethel Bruins. Still in doubt, 1 minute and 11 seconds to go. The Crabbers leading by the score of 10-0, but things don't look real good for Bethel right now in this game at least.
Well, I tell you what, the Bethel Bruins don't have anything to be ashamed of. They came in here today as underdog, as voted by the coaches, and most of the sporting news people were picking the Crabbers to win, but they have just shown a tremendous amount of poise and courage, especially the defensive unit that they have played today. Offensively, they just couldn't get anything going. Hampton's got to find defense. They won't take anything away from that defense. But this has been a well-played game both ends.
It really has. Mike Stefanko gets the pitch out, and he gets out close to the 10-yard line. Stefanko making sure that he not only gets some yards, but also that he holds onto the ball. And now Bethel calls their third timeout with only 58 seconds remaining. And this game has been an exciting game every year. Even last year when the Crabbers were the state champions and did so in convincing fashion, the Bethel Bruins still gave them a tough battle. They finally fell 21-15, but you're right, Bob. Whenever this game is played, you can throw the records out.
Well, Bethel only had a 2-8 last year, but if you will notice, when you and I followed the Crabbers all the way state championship, the toughest team they played on the road to the state championship had to be Bethel. Coach Kozlowski does a super job with the Bethel Bruins, as does Coach Mike Smith, and they both have excellent coaching staffs. And we can't say enough with these, because these fine young men that they go to school and they do the study and then they put a lot of extra time into it. Practicing after school and before school starts and everything. And the coaches both schools have excellent programs.
The Crabbers defense, speaking of which, have shut out 6 of their opponents this year, and in doing so have convincingly won. The offense had been dormant coming into this game for the last 4 games, but I think there's new life with the Hampton offense.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Kroom has played a superb game at quarterback. Inside handoff as the Crabbers now are again trying to run that clock out. If Bethel has any timeouts remaining, they would undoubtedly use one here. I'm not sure that they have one left. Brings up a 4th down, so the Crabbers will, in fact, have to kick the ball. 40 seconds remain. They'll have to do something.
They'll have to kick or run a play or whatever, but they've got to do something here. And it looks like Mike Smith is going to put in a kicking unit for the Crabbers, which is what you should do. He may go ahead and let them run the clock out and take the 5-yard penalty anyway. But the game is almost all over, Tim. We're under 20 seconds to go. And I'd like to take this opportunity, if I could, to thank you and the staff. I think they've done a fantastic job, as they have all year long, with the film crew and all that Scotty Bowers and his group do. They come up here and they set up, and you and I just get to come up here and talk.
They really do. And we'll, of course, if you'll be kind enough to to watch at the end of the game the names and the credits for these people who are so, as you said, so professional. They do a great job. Our camera people have been working out here for hours and hours setting up for this game. Dr. Sam Still and his staff have everything to be proud of too. They do a fine job, and we're looking forward to doing even more. Hopefully we'll be able to cover Hampton High School teams through the playoffs.
Well, the one game we probably will cover will be Hampton playing Great Bridge and Green Run. I mean,
Husted is down in the end zone after he gets the kick away. We'll undoubtedly see a roughing the kicker penalty. The Bethel Bruins have the ball at the Hampton 38-yard line, but we'll see a penalty against the against the Bruins, and we will see a mark-off undoubtedly against them.
And it'll be a 15-yard. It'll give him a first down. 3 seconds to go. It's academic now. The game is over.
So the Bethel Bruins, in a last-ditch desperation try, went in for the block, and in doing so, very obviously got all over Mike Husted, and he was certainly roughed up to say the least. So we'll see the offensive unit come back on the field, simply snap the ball, and I know for a fact, I can attest to the fact that you will not see Rocky Kroom throw the football on this play. I've never been right about it, nor have you often.
But that's one that you can be sure of. I don't think he'll throw it either, Tim. And
one of the things too that I think we'll see, and I always enjoy seeing at the end of the games between Hampton and Bethel, and for that matter all the teams in the Peninsula District, well, you'll see the good sportsmanship at the end of this game of the players going out to shake hands and congratulate each other. We've talked about it numerous times. That's your ball game. As they started the clock, they didn't even have to take a snap from center. And as disappointed as the Bruin team has to be, their season is not over with officially as we speak, because they have every opportunity to be into the playoffs.
We don't know what's exactly going to happen. I know that Bethel is ranked #1 in the Division II playoffs. Now, what this will do to them losing to Hampton, I don't know, because it's done on a power rating. I believe there's a game over across the river that'll have some effect on it.
As you see, and as I mentioned before, the good sportsmanship exhibited by both of these teams. These coaching staffs and the teams are extremely fine athletes, and part of being a good athlete is the ability to be a good loser as well as a good winner. So,
absolutely, Tim.
It doesn't surprise me in the least. Bethel has to be upset that they lost this game, but they certainly gave it every possible effort. The offense just couldn't get on track. You have to give the Hampton defense credit as a summary to the game.
Absolutely. Tim, when I talked to Mike Smith earlier this week, he could not say enough about his defensive unit, that they have just been stalwarts all year long, that if there was anything that was suspect, it was the offense. And today, the offense just looked awesome because Bethel's got a good defensive unit.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract you, but I was watching a couple of the players from Hampton and Bethel actually embracing each other in congratulations. And again, you hear about all of the negative things about some high school sports and how they have problems, but when you see this exhibited on the field, you hope it carries into the parking lot sometimes, because a lot of the fans get kind of caught up in it at times, but they have to remember that it is a game. And fortunately, the players on both sides of the field today are good sportsmanship. So it's nice to see this type of thing. And there you see the credit. Scott Bowers, our fine director, did a super job again today. And hopefully we will see more and more of the Hampton schools in the playoffs. And again, as you said, Bob, who exactly and when exactly, we don't know, but we'll hope you'll stay tuned and check the paper. We'll try and get word to you through that media.
Right, because one of the things that, of course, will affect it will be to the game tonight here when Phoebus plays Cox. And, of course, Phoebus has to win, and if they win, they will. Tim, as I was saying, that we have a possibility of having 3 Hampton High School teams involved in the playoffs. It's very possible the Bruins and the Phoebus Phantoms could both be involved, along with Warwick Raiders in the Division II playoffs. And, of course, Hampton High School is in the Division I AAA playoffs, and they will be playing Green Run. They are ranked #3 in the 4 teams that are going into the playoffs.
Well, again, Bob, you're absolutely right, and we will have a playoff game for you, and I hope you'll stay tuned to watch for that in the near future. Again, our final score here at Darling Stadium, the Hampton Crabbers victorious. They improved their record to 7-3 8-2 and 6-2 in the district. Bethel falls to 5-3, 6-4 overall. Again, for Bob Hins, the entire crew, our final score: Hampton 10, Bethel nothing. Thank you for watching high school football. Good evening, everybody.